And there we go. 20 viewers. All right, excellent. Ooh. All right. Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. So today I got started a little bit late, and that's kind of my fault. I had a couple technical difficulties where I plugged things in a little bit weirdly, and so we were having a little bit of an issue, but we are back to streaming and we're good to go. So today we are going to start setting up and doing a little bit of prep work for our silverware project that we are our upcoming silverware project. I have allotted 5 days for this project, and today is that first day. Today is day 1 of 5. I'm kind of in the middle of deciding whether we're going to add a 6th day or not. It kind of depends on how today goes. So we're doing a little bit of play and a little bit of prep work. So the idea is we are going to make a set of silverware. We're going to make a fork, knife, and spoon. So we've got our fork, our knife, and our spoon. These are actually out of my kitchen. They're like, you know, old silver-plated stuff that we were given by, you know, the in-laws and whatnot. So these are, you know, what we're going to be making, or at least my design on a set of silverware. Welcome in. Good evening, Dark. It is mid-afternoon for me, but I am in U.S. Central, so, you know, a little bit earlier than you guys. You've had a little bit more time in the day than I have. So the reason that we are allotting an extra day for prep time is because I had like a while ago I bought a rod of stainless steel square stock, and this is a section of that stainless steel square stock that I had purchased. And the reason that I had purchased it was so that I could make a set of silverware with it. Now, I have never actually worked with, I've never actually worked with square stock stainless steel. I have worked with plate stainless steel before, but yeah, we've never really worked with stainless steel. So I think what I'm going to do today is I'm going to kind of decide whether this project is going to be made in stainless steel or if it's going to be made in mild steel, right? So this is a 3-inch section of 5/8 inch square stock, and it is mild steel. It is 1019. This is normally what I use for a lot of our projects. It's architectural steel, and it's really easy to get a hold of. This guy, on the other hand, honestly, I don't remember what size this is. It probably is about, it looks maybe like a 1/2 inch if you compare it to the 5/8 inch stock. So yeah, I'm gonna say it's a 1/2 inch stock, square stock. This is 4 inches of it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and decide whether we're going to be able to make our silverware in the stainless, or, you know, if we're gonna have to use the mild steel. If you excuse me, I'll be just lurking around. Honestly, I'm going to take an itty bitty. All right. Well, thank you for the lurk. Welcome in. Hi, Mahalo. Welcome in. So we're kind of, I would love to be able to make our silverware out of the stainless steel. But I need to make sure that it is it is workable enough that we can actually do a piece each stream. So we're going to heat this up and we're going to start playing with it, see how much work time we get, and, you know, how it functions. So the thing about stainless steel, from the, you know, what people have told me in the past, is that it takes a lot longer to heat up. and the heat dissipates a lot quicker than it does with mild steel. So it's seeming like we probably won't get as much work time versus like heating time. So I really want to see if we're going to be able to get a whole piece of silverware done in our 2 hour or 2.5 hour time block that we normally use. So that's what we're going to spend today doing. And then the next 4 days, I have planned for us to do a spoon, a fork, and a table knife. And then that 5th day, we are going to do a sharp knife. If we decide that we are going to do a, I kind of have a 6th day that's kind of sort of maybe tacked on at the end, depending on like how things go. We might need a little bit of extra time for shaping and for like grinding out that sharp knife. So if I think that we will need that, then we will take that extra 6th day. Alrighty. So it looks like an ad is going to start shortly. And so I'm going to start up the forge. Oh, you know what? I totally intro without like turning on my record. That is absolutely amazing. It's been one of those days, guys. It's been one of those days. What is happening here? There it went. So I plugged in some of the wrong cabling and like the computer wouldn't start correctly. So that was a whole mess. I'm glad we got that taken care of. All right, this is going back over here, and then I'm going to start the forge like I said I was gonna do. It's a little on the colder side, so my hands are a little bit... Oh, come on. A little bit fumbly. Let's turn that off for just a second. Man, we're going to be a little scuffy today, I think. Oh, come on. I did this just yesterday. There we go. There we go. So, need a light. Yes, exactly. I do need a light. All right, so I am going to kind of half explain this again so that I've got a recording of it. And it makes a little bit more sense as I'm, trying to edit this later on. Today we are going to be doing a prep stream. We are prepping for our next project, which is going to be the silverware. We are going to be making a fork, a knife, and a spoon for our next projects. So today, the goal is to decide whether or not we are going to be able to make these out of stainless steel or mild steel. Mild steel is normally what I make most of my projects with, but it is a lot less food safe than stainless steel would be, right? So stainless steel is what your typical, Walmart brand or, home goods store silverware is going to be made of. Some of the more fancy ones you can get sterling silver plated, but it's usually got stainless steel inside that plating. Mild steel, on the other hand, is not food safe on its own. So in order to take care of these and make them food safe, you would have to coat these in a food safe oil or wax, so like a beeswax or something like that. But that makes it hard to actually eat from. So the idea is if we can make our silverware out of the stainless steel pieces, it's going to make it a lot easier and a lot more functional. But it's harder to work with stainless steel. It takes longer to heat stainless steel, and the heat dissipates from stainless steel much, much quicker. So it's a lot harder to work. So I need to make sure that we're able to finish each piece of silverware in our 2.5 hour time block that we have for our stream. So we're going to kind of play around with this block here and see what we can do with it in the time that I have allotted for streaming today. So I am going to heat this guy up and we're gonna see what we can do. Put those over there now that I'm done with them. This one too. All right. So I spent some time prepping for this job, and I did 5 different designs for this particular project. So we've got several different designs of silverware that we can do for our handles. These forks will be 2-tined forks. There are different ways, different methods of doing multiple or more than 2-tong forks, so like 3 or 4-tong forks. But right now we're gonna focus on the 2-prong forks. We might, like, if we don't have anything to do on that 6th day, we might tack one on if you guys are interested in seeing like a 3-tined fork. But I've got several different designs for like what we could do with the handles. So I'm thinking that we're probably gonna start with this upper right-hand corner here, and this is a back and forth twist on that handle. If you cannot see the design that are in the stream, there is a picture of it in my Discord, and there's also a picture on the Instagram that you guys can take a look at. And the links for those are on the channel at the bottom of the stream. So we're gonna do a back and forth twist at first, and then we're gonna decide whether we want to do different designs or several different designs, or if we want the entire set to be the same design. So we will make that decision a little bit later today as well. So now that all of that, setup is done, we can kind of talk about the community and stuff. Some of the things that I'm working on recently. I started editing the scrolling tong video. I have about in one of the 7 days edited down or cut down to about 16 minutes, and it's taken me quite a long time to do that. So hopefully we will be able to get through the subsequent days a little bit quicker. Setting up the timeline was a little bit time consuming because it is like 14 hours of footage, and it's kind of one of those things where it takes a little bit of time to put everything together and sync everything up. So look for that towards the end of this week, maybe the beginning of next, and that'll be available for you guys to take a look at. We've got the VODs going up recently. So we've got all of last week, and we're really current. We did not stream on Friday, and the reason we didn't stream Friday is because I was a little bit under the weather. My breathing was a little bit raggedy, and I didn't really want to come out to the cold and exacerbate it. So we stayed in, and I'm feeling a lot better today. So we are good to go, and I'm hoping that everything, works out and we can get this all, back to standard operation of streaming 3 days a week. So let's see. It's kind of on the colder side today. So I think I've got the heater going and I've got the forge going. So hopefully as things, you know, as we get going, things will start warming up and my fingers will get a little bit more dexterous. I have my door wide open, so I think I'm gonna crack it so that less cold air is coming in here. So, yeah, I've got a new pair of pants that I picked up and I started wearing. They're guy pants, so they're a little bit weirdly shaped, and I feel like I need a belt with them, but I can't find my belt, so I guess I'm going to be stuck here pulling up my pants every so often. They are very convenient though because they have full-size pockets. Guy pants have full-size pockets and you can put like an entire phone in them, but women's pockets are like these little teeny things. So I finally got frustrated with my tiny pockets and broke down and bought some guy pants. So hopefully, you know, we will be able to function a little bit easier. I'll be able to put like whatever I need in my pockets, like my multi-tool and like lens caps and things like that in the pants pockets. And I won't have to like, you know, constantly be throwing things everywhere because I don't have pockets. Alrighty, so it looks like this material is heated up pretty well. So we are going to take a look and see how this works a little bit. All right, so I think I'm going to try and do a little bit of a taper on this. So we're going to start tapering the back, and this will be the handle. Silverware. Looks like we're moving pretty decently. It is a little bit heavier, I think, than our mild steel. But yeah, and we are getting a little bit of extra dimpling movement. So I'm thinking we'll keep going and see how that continues working. All right, so like I said, it's going to take a little bit of extra time, I think, to heat up that material. We need to keep this really, really nice and hot, so it's a lot easier to work with. I'm really happy that it seems to be working pretty well. So, you know, it would be really nice to be able to make a whole piece of silverware today, if I can manage that. So if we can manage to get a piece of silverware today, I'm gonna focus on doing a spoon. And if we can manage to make a spoon, I'm gonna show you how to dish out that spoon, you know, like spoons kind of have that like bowl in them, you know, where you got your cereal or your soup or whatever you're using with your silverware. When you scoop that up, so you kind of have to dish out a spoon. And there are two prevailing methods on how people will do this. One method is to use a swage block, which is a tool that I have over here. It is a separate piece of cast iron that has like little divots in them that are shaped like spoons and ladles and things like that. And you can actually dish out your spoon in the swage block, and that's like purpose built, so it's going to be a lot more perfect and round and exactly the shape that you want it to be. Now, if you don't have a swage block, never fear, because the second method, that is the prevailing method, for making or dishing out spoon like bowls is actually just to use to hammer against a piece of wood, right? So the hot metal, as you kind of hammer it with a ball peen hammer, will actually start burning a hole or like a round area into the wood. And as you continue to hammer it, it will bowl out the spoon. So we're going to use that method today because I have to kind of set up my swage block in order to use that for the spoon. So yeah, I've got a couple pieces of just like spare 2x4 laying around, so we'll use that to bowl out the spoon today if we're able to complete one. And that is the goal today. We're kind of playing around a little bit, but the goal is to complete a spoon. Thank you so much for the subscription, Corporal Tunnel. Welcome in. I'm so happy. Thank you so much. Yeah, so today, like I said, spoon. And we're kind of messing with stainless steel. Alrighty. Couple things going on today. Look up. I am here for the sporks. Any concerns forging stainless steel for fumes? There is some concern for certain types of stainless steel. Certain types of stainless steel have chromium in them. So like you got to be careful that you're not using a chrome plated or like an alloy that has a lot of chrome in it. The alloy that I have is like, I think it's nickel based. So there is no fumes. Like if you were to, or like when you, or as you're heating it, you're going to get those fumes out of it. Like if you're using zinc and stuff like that. So you'll see these nasty yellow smoke coming out of the forge. So because we're not seeing, or like the reason we're not seeing that is because this is a forging safe stainless steel. But we would be we're very, very careful about what sorts of metals that we put in our forge, because I already have really bad lungs and it would be absolutely terrible for me to, you know, do any more damage to it. So we are taking great care to make sure that the stainless that we use does not have zinc or chrome in it. So yeah, we would be very concerned about any smoke coming out of the forge, regardless of what it's coming from. There's already, you know, a bit of that, a bit of that coming from like just like it's eating the oxygen in the air and it's like pumping out a little bit of carbon monoxide. So we want to keep our shops very ventilated. In the summertime when it is warm out, we always open up the garage door so we have plenty of airflow. We've got fans that'll like blow, or industrial fans that'll blow air through so that we don't get too hot. And then even in the winter time, I have a door that's right next to the camera, and I leave that cracked open, and so that I have a lot of ventilation and airflow in here so that it's a lot easier on my lungs. Ooh. All right, we have shown our drawing, so I'm gonna put this over here so that way it's easier to get to my water. Alrighty. So yesterday, I spent a little bit of time out here in the shop and we started making what I'm gonna call bumper videos. So when I start my stream all the time, you guys kind of like, if you're here really, really early, you'll see me like messing with my laptop and kind of just like, I post like on Facebook that we're live, and I do a couple other things trying to make sure that everything is normal and we've got, you know, the sound is good and all of that, right? So we've filmed what I'm gonna call a bumper. So it's like a pre-roll where, you know, I can post that up, and that way you guys will see the little video that says like, you know, Ray Smithy streaming or live soon or coming soon. And I have one for like, if we have some like technical difficulties or things like that. So that's like a mid-roll. It's like, you know, be right back. So I've got that going, and then I've got one for like when we're raiding. So I can put that up while we're looking for a place to raid, to continue our party. That way you guys aren't like sitting watching my back and my, you know, while I'm messing around with the computer stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that. We shot all of the footage for that, and so later on this week, I will put a couple of those together, and we'll see if we can't put them into the stream within the next week. So that is the goal. So I want to kind of make it a little bit more professional looking, so that it's not like, you know, me struggling with the computer and the technical stuff all the time when you come in here. And I think on like the end for like the ending screen, so when we're raiding off, I think that I want to put like all of my, you know, subscribers. So while we're small, I'll put all of our subscribers on that slide. And then when if we start growing and getting bigger, then maybe I'll do like the level 2s and level 3s. Or maybe we'll, you know, kind of switch around who is on that slide, so that I can thank you all and give you a proper, you know, recognition for your contributions to our stream. And I think that'll be really nice to do. So that's the goal for that one. And I'm pretty excited. Hopefully it'll all work out. Here shortly, I also want to shoot an introductory video that we can put on, you know, when I'm offline, so you have the ability to put like a little intro video on the Twitch channel and like the top video on my YouTube channel. So I'm hoping to shoot that pretty soon. It should be fun. All right. people have small informative videos for incoming raid parties as well. Yes, that would be really nice to have too, because like, you know, that way I don't have to stop what I'm doing to explain that what we're, you know, what the channel is about immediately. I will have a little bit of time to kind of, you know, continue with what we were doing before, and get to a stopping point before we explain what we're doing, what we're actively doing anyway. So that, I think that would be a really nice addition to the channel. There we go. It is, like I said, it's a little bit cold today. So it's really nice over by the forge and over by the heater. So specifically, I wore a blacksmithing t-shirt today, and I've been trying to wear blacksmithing t-shirts on days when I do stream in case it starts getting warmer throughout the day. I dress in a lot of different layers. So I've got like my, you know, my winter jacket on, and then I've got my like sweatshirt, and then I've got, you know, a shirt on underneath, and, you know, sometimes I'll wear like a shirt underneath of that so that, you know, when I get really, really hot, I can just start stripping layers off and still, you know, be able to stay cool while we're blacksmithing, but stay modest as well. So I'm trying to like keep blacksmithing in mind when I'm picking my fashion of the day. So today I've got a Metals Museum shirt on. The International Metals Museum in Memphis, Tennessee is a working museum. They have blacksmithing there. They have silversmithing and small metal repair. They have casting. They're in Memphis, Tennessee, and it's absolutely gorgeous out there. They're right on the Mississippi River, and it's beautiful. So if you ever get a chance to go to Memphis, Tennessee, you know, when you're, you know, in the middle of your, like, you know, going to Beale Street and like visiting Elvis, you know, you can maybe take a look at the Metals Museum down there. So eventually, it is my goal to like also have some of my own blacksmithing merchandise for me to wear and advertise the channel, as well as for you guys to maybe pick up if you like them. So we have lots of goals, lots of ambition. We've been kind of assessing what we want for our goals for the stream and for the YouTube channel lately. It's been on my mind recently, because it's I want to kind of, you know, grow the community, and I want to kind of encourage that growth and the fellowship in the community. So we've got a Discord going, and I've got, you know, Facebook and Instagram, and I try and post there pretty frequently. So those are some places that you could get a hold of me outside of stream time. So. Wow. Alrighty. See how we can get done this year.
longer than it would with mild steel. But we do have some movement, so let's keep going and see how far we can get.
So I've got an ad starting soon, so we'll make sure that we can refresh our clips and make sure that I've got, you know, all of my footage. There's that one. And there's that one. Alrighty. I'm gonna take a seat because it's a little bit, I'm still a little bit under the weather. I'm feeling a lot better than I was. But yeah, I still am a little bit tired. I've kind of been out here for about an hour already. I came out here around, well, what time is it now? So yeah, I came out here actually about an hour and a half ago, and so I'm starting to get a tiny bit tired. Not nearly as tired as, you know, or I don't need to like stop streaming or anything, but I'm a little bit more tired than I normally am around this time, because I was kind of fighting the laptop, and I was kind of giving myself a little bit of extra time to prep, as far as like, you know, cutting material and stuff like that. So yeah, a little bit tired, but we're okay. We will be able to keep going. All right, so we are back from our break. Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for continuing to watch my stream. We are going to play with some stainless steel. Alrighty. So I've been checking out a lot of other people's streams lately, trying to figure out what we can do to kind of improve our stream and our community and the ability to grow and, improve my ability to speak and my charisma and stuff like that. So I've been watching a lot of other people's streams, and there's a few other people that I'm really looking into, I've been watching a lot of videos, and there's a VTuber by the name of Giga, and I've been watching a lot of her videos, and some of her streams. I tend not to catch her live, but she's got a lot of really informative stuff about streaming and about YouTube and about just like presence in general, and sometimes about life in general. She seems to be pretty, smart about that. So I've been really taking a lot of her videos to heart, and so that's kind of why I'm, starting to focus on how I want to improve the stream, where I want to go from here, and what my goals are for streaming in general, as well as blacksmithing. And yeah, I think that I would absolutely love to just be able to continue doing this and, grow our community. But I mean, I think my long-term goal is to get to the point where I can take commission work again. I'm getting a raid. Thank you all. Welcome in, guys. Thank you for the raid. Who is raiding me? Let's see. Curatilis. I'm probably butchering that, and I apologize. Or not raid. Shout out. Welcome in. There we go. You got me, Ping. Excellent. I wasn't sure you were there because I hadn't seen you take I hadn't seen you speak yet. So I wanted to make sure that we gave a shout out to our raiders, whether you were here or not. Oh, excellent. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. I'm Ray, and I stream blacksmithing on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Today we are prepping for a new project that we're doing. We are going to be starting making silverware. So we're going to be making a fork, knife, and spoon. These are my home set, that I usually eat with. These are like a set of sterling silver plated ones that I was given by I think it was my in-laws. But yeah, we're going to make a new set of these. So they won't be nearly as elaborate and as pretty, but we're going to hand blacksmith these on the anvil. Today we are kind of debating whether or not we can use stainless steel or whether we need to go back to using mild steel. Mild steel, its chemical or its metal name is 1019, and that is a low carbon steel. It's very malleable, and it is what they use for girders and construction. It is a hot rolled steel, so it's a little bit softer. And we're debating if we need, that is normally what we do a lot of our projects with, but we're kind of playing a little bit with stainless steel and seeing how that works. This is only my second time forging stainless steel, and it is very finicky to work with. It takes a lot longer to heat up than the mild steel does. and the heat around it dissipates very rapidly. So we have a much shorter amount of work time. So today we are debating whether we are going to be able to complete a piece in our allotted time for our stream. And if we can do that, then for the rest of the material, for the project, we're going to do it out of stainless. And if we decide that we can't, we're going to go back to mild steel. Tip note for the future upgrade, please double the mono mic channel into both channels. Is that something I can do? Did not dare mention it. Well, I'm ruthless. I am always looking to upgrade my setup. I don't know, but I wasn't sure, like, I've been struggling with my sound. Everyone is welcoming me in my goldsmithing workshop. Oh, you are a goldsmith. That is so cool. Yeah, right now I am only on the left channel. Is there something I can do? Can I, like, I'm on OBS, so is there, like, a way that maybe I could, like, double it by, you know, adding an extra source maybe? Have I worked as a goldsmith too? I used to work for Signet Jewelers. So I worked there. Well, I left there as a B rank jeweler. So I repaired jewelry for like Jared, Zales, and Kay's, which are American jewelry stores. So yes, I have done goldsmithing in the past. Yeah. This stream was suggested by my best friend. My cats will be disappointed if I don't play with them right now, but I'm very interested. Well, welcome in. I do, you know, you can always check out my VODs. I also have a YouTube where I post all of my VODs, so if you are looking for stuff that's like older than the 30 days that I'm allowed to, you know, keep my VODs for, you'll be able to find it there. I also do condensed edits of my different projects, so I've got a few of those up. That you can check out on my YouTube channel, and you're always welcome there. My socials are, you know, in the usual place underneath of the stream. So yeah, run away in utter fear, for I, Bluesy, the goat farmer, am here. Don't run from me, although I am retired sniper. I truly am a sweet old, or little old woman. My 269 goats, though, they are devilish. If you see me running, run faster. Seriously, just basic advice. Well, welcome in, goat farmer. I am absolutely terrified of cows, so please don't make me terrified of goats too. So yeah, when my grandfather, my grandparents were farmers, and they had cows, and I used to try to play in the pasture, and cows are very territorial, and so I was playing kind of near their water hole, and they didn't like it, so they chased me out of the pasture, and that was absolutely terrifying. There's that meme where there's that sign on the farm, and it says, stay out of the pasture if you can't run the length of the pasture in 10 seconds, because the bull can run it in 11, and oh boy, is that true. Terrifying. Terrifying creatures. And I was like 10 years old at the time. Okay. Now we have sound from a different microphone on both channels, but the voice is pretty far away. Go to the audio mixer in OBS and then click on the triple dots for the advanced options and detect the mono on your input device checkbox, and then it should automatically send to both channels. Now it's on both channels on this screen. They would just lick me to death. They would have been known to headbutt you. Yeah. They do kind of have a tendency to. All right, so if I hit that, and then if I hit that, then I should be able to advanced audio properties. And then deselect the mono on my input capture. Okay, I don't actually have the mono selected, right? Okay. Find goat versus cow on the internet and you'll understand why I advise you to be scared of them. Yeah. Okay. I'm not seeing that. So, I have two different mics, how this works, right? So I have a lav mic. It's kind of like this is my right channel mic and this is my left channel mic. And these are lav mics and they're attached to my wide camera. So I have what is it? A Lumix? I don't know. It's in my links. There is a link to my setup. But I have a shotgun mic on my close-up camera, and I have a lav mic it's two mono mics. So I'm not entirely sure how to fix that. I've been struggling with that for the past month. I'm so sorry, but for the audio, I try to do my best with it, and it is something that I'm very aware of. But I'm still really technologically stupid when it comes to streaming. I'm mostly a crafter, and I just sort of started streaming recently. I've only really been doing this since mid-November. We actually started streaming on a cell phone, so this is a much better upgrade than what we had. So thank you for your suggestions, but I'm not entirely sure how to fix it. So, I mean, if you really want to really help me, I would definitely appreciate that and I would take that help, but I don't think I can actively do it right here today. So what I'm going to ask you to do is maybe if you can ping me on Discord or private message me on Discord, we can, I will take all of the help that you're willing to give me. So thank you for that. It doesn't detect it as a mono source because it is a stereo source, virtualizing the input by mixing both channels. Okay, yeah, so my Discord is actually under the screen. I don't have any bots set up, I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm really, really new to streaming. I appreciate all of you joining me though. But yeah, like I said, I'm really, really new. I apologize. So, yeah. I am gonna take another heat at the anvil though. Really, don't be sorry. Okay. So, yeah, we're working on it slowly but surely. We are improving our setup. But, I'm not the technologically inclined one in the family. All right. Thank you all so much for your follows. Basic Salad and Sandwich, thank you. Ellen Drya, thank you for the follow. Kieran Apples and Dragons, thank you for the follow. Kiri Talasa, thank you for the follow and for the raid. And I know I have butchered that name. I'm so sorry about that. Fizbel Sangrius for the follow. Thank you so much. Designed by Joe also. Thank you so much for the follow, everyone. I so much appreciate that. Like I said, I am a new streamer. I just started in November, so every bit counts. I try to be as active and as encouraging and answering questions as active and talkative as possible. But yeah. Kiri is fine. Oh, cool. Thank you. Because I'm an American and I'm really bad with like weird names because, you know, white bread and all that. But yeah, thank you all for joining us. So a little bit about my background. I started blacksmithing in about 2010, and I spent the next 10 years kind of learning how to blacksmith, and I started taking on a few commissions, and it was a lot of fun. I loved it. I learned so much. I spent a lot of time at the International Metals Museum in Memphis, Tennessee. I spent several weekends or like week-long workshops learning at a very rapid pace and kind of unpacking that at home for several years. And, you know, I learned a lot very quickly. And I ended up, or at the same time, I was working as a jeweler for Jared in a Jared for Signet. So I have a lot of goldsmithing background as well. When I went to college, I graduated from college in 2008, and my college degree was in metalsmithing and metal fabrication. I've also done a lot of work in casting. So I'm kind of a jack of all trades when it comes to metal. But nowadays I mostly do blacksmithing. In 2020, I got incredibly ill, and I spent the last 5 years kind of trying to rebuild my stamina to the point where I could continue working. So I am just now getting back into fighting shape and getting back out into the shop. We started only able to work for about an hour, and we are up to about 3 hours now. So we've made so much progress in the last 3 months. I'm so happy. And so I decided that I was going to bring all of you along on my journey with me as, you know, encouragement and also as motivation to keep coming out here and keep putting in that effort and that work. Just call me Fizz. Good. GG on all the follows, yeah. 2008, you are so young. Yeah, I mean, I'll turn 39 this year. So I'm a little on the young side for blacksmithing in general. Most people that I know of that have been learning blacksmithing are much, much older than me. But yeah, I started, how old was I? It's like 22, 23 when I started doing the work. So yeah. Yes, so yeah. I'm gonna do another heat. How are we on time? We're good on time. as I said, I'm a 75-year-old streamer, or streaming goes over my head. But I admire what you streamers do. What you making? Okay, so thank you for, the encouragement, Goat Farmer. So to answer your question, what are we streaming today? Or what are we making today? So this is a spoon. So we are actually making a spoon today. This is like the second time I've worked with stainless steel in all my time of blacksmithing. And the first time I worked with it, it was sheet steel. So I've never worked with rod. And so I'm kind of playing around with it today. And after today, I will be spending the next 5 streams, 4 or 5 streams, depending on how long it takes me, making a set of silverware. So the first, or like what we're trying to make today, which we may or may not be able to complete, is a spoon, right? So we will be doing a full stream of an actual spoon, like where we are going to make a spoon. Whether we do that in stainless or in mild steel is kind of up in the air, and that's what we're deciding today. Then we will spend a day making a fork, then a table knife, and then a sharp knife. So that is our goal. We might make a 3-pronged fork as a bonus at the end, depending on, time frame and stuff like that. So, yep. I've tried curving a piece of metal on an anvil horn, and it was so utterly baffling. It's so much harder than it looks. You are making the most dangerous weapon in existence. After all, the most scary war cry ever. Spoon! Spoon! Yes, exactly. My spoon is too big. Yeah, so we are making a set of silverware, and we're starting with a spoon because spoons are great. If we end up completing a spoon today, I might consider making it into a spork. I had a request for a spork, but this is kind of more of a loose stream. And so I need to make a much more tighter stream on a spoon so that I can edit that for my YouTube channel. So today we're kind of like playing around, doing a little bit of prep work and figuring out what we can and cannot do. So if we're able to make that spoon, if we're able to do the set in stainless, maybe we'll make it into a spork. Sporks are always fun. Yep. Okay, we got a little bit more that we can do. I got about a minute and a half before my ad starts, so we'll definitely get the ad, we'll definitely get this heat done before the ad. Okay, looks like we're getting a pretty nice long tail on there. I'm actually pretty happy with that, really. So I think what we're gonna do, for our next heat is we're going to actually flip this guy around. And I'm gonna swap tongs because this set of tongs is a universal set of tongs. So anything that's square, these tongs will hold. But those previous set of tongs are only able to hold anything that's like around 1/4 inch to about 1/2 inch stock, specifically. So because this is so small, those tongs wouldn't hold them secure enough. So we're gonna flip these around and heat it back up. Alrighty. I'm really curious how the fork tines are even formed. That's awesome. Hey, spork is even more fun. Spoon, fork, and knife combined. Yeah, that would be cool. One end is a spork and the other end is like a knife. That would be cool. I'd be all over making that. So how things work with my stream is I make sure that when ads are going, I don't do any anvil work. So that way that everybody, even people who can't necessarily subscribe or pick up the premium Twitch monthly sub, will be able to see all of the anvil work. So I kind of, you know, talk a little bit about just random stuff during the ads, and I flip my clips so that I have, because I can only really record about 30 minutes at a time on my cameras. And we're gonna check our, I think I'm actually gonna change my propane tank at the same time. So you guys might be able to see me change the propane tank. I've got a whole bunch of propane tanks like right over there and near where I keep my my crescent wrench. So getting up over top of them is always a blast. All right. And so for those of you who are still here, the reason why I am having to change my propane tank right now is because as the pressure, a propane tank is a, you know, pressurized flammable gas, right? And so as the pressure is released through the hose, it kind of gets really, really cold and it actually starts freezing the propane inside. So what has happened is that enough of the propane has frozen that I'm not getting a high enough pressure in order to keep the forge going at the temperature I need. So I have this lovely brand new tank that we purchased yesterday. And so I'm going to hook it up so that we can keep going. So we've got a brass fixture on a brass fixture, and the brass on brass kind of locks together and creates a gas-tight seal. So that's always really nice. So when I open this guy, I sniff it and make sure there's no leaks, and there usually isn't. So now we're gonna light it. I like to light it using a plumber's torch because it gives me a little extra reach. And there we go. We are back in business. Alrighty. You have the idea. Lift with your back, not your legs. Or what did they say? I wonder if you could make a hydraulic system to take waste heat off the forge into a heat exchanger to warm the tank. I mean, there is a chance that I could do that. That is a little bit outside of my engineering experience. But yeah, because I mean, you have to be really, really careful because the amount of heat that the forge is pumping off, even above it, like I can still, like, you know, I can get about here, and it starts getting really, really uncomfortable. You wouldn't want to go any further or any closer to the forge than that. So you got to be really careful with the amount of heat that you would be pumping around the container, because you want to make sure that you don't accidentally, ignite the tank. That's why we're really careful about, the pressure, because if the pressure is too low, there's always a chance that the flame will back up through the burner and into the hose. You can get a backflow regulator, but I don't have one. So I'm really careful about that. I would rather change my tanks regularly than have any sort of risk of depressurization or explosion. Oh, easy, hang the tank from the ceiling over the forge. I mean, that is, that's a thing. We could do that, maybe. It would be a lot harder for me to change it on my own, though. It would be a little bit on the scary side, too. All right. We are a little bit higher than I want to be. So we can turn that down just a hair. We've got it's really, really hot now, so we are good to go. right. 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit or closer to 2,000. Okay, so we are much closer to 2,000, right? So iron melts at 2,700 degrees, and bronze melts at 1,700 degrees. So it's somewhere in that range. It's much closer to 2,000 degrees. It's more like 2,500 degrees-ish. And that's kind of, it's somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500 degrees, the forge inside of it, depending on how much gas I give it and how much air how much air gets inside of there. So I can kind of regulate it a little bit. I kind of do by ear. I know what it sounds like when I have my sound canceling headphones on, and it's kind of, it's a little bit finicky. It's a lot easier to temp a coal forge, but we work on it. It's a little bit too cold to do a forge weld with, but it's hot enough to get, a nice temper on. I always try and set up my anvil. I like to keep my hammer like parallel to the face of the anvil, so it's really nice and easy to, you know, get a hold of. So I like to keep everything within reachable distance. So that's a thing I like to do. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do right now. I like to keep my tongs here so I can pick them up and put them down. It's pretty easy that way. A little bit longer and we're gonna start working on the flat of the anvil. So the flat of this anvil is a little bit dimply. So I tend to work in a specific area, which is about right here. And I'll show you that again when I go to the close-up on the anvil. But every like little dimple and every like dip and raised area on this anvil face will actually be transferred onto the material as I'm hammering it. And the same goes for your hammer face. So you want to make sure that you've got a really nice flat and shiny hammer head, so that you can make sure that your blows are not transferring or like stamping weird textures all over your pieces. So that's a really important thing to think about as a blacksmith. All right. Do you use a swage or do you freehand? I do both. I do have a swage block, but right now it is locked within its stand. It's right over here, really. Here, let me see if I can't bring that out. I also use it as a cooling area for my hot pieces. But yeah, this is my swage block right here. And right now it's kind of locked in its upright position. So these are nice like little round divots. But on this side right here, we have our nice spoon divot that we would be using to create our spoon if we were not, you know, if I was able to get it out of here. But I need to get my partner, who is stronger than me, to get it out of here so that I can, you know, use the other sides of it. It's kind of locked in the stand right now. This guy is a 50-pound swage block. So because I can't use this guy for this for this spoon, we are actually going to use a piece or a block of wood. So I've got a couple of 2x4s laying around that what we're going to do is we're going to kind of burn in a divot so that we can create the bowl in the burn. How heavy is that? Yeah, it is a 50-pound swage block. Our anvil here is 127 pounds. So the swage block is much lighter than the anvil. I I got my new pair of pants, and I'm trying very hard not to rip them or set them on fire, because it never fails. Every other pair of pants that I buy, I will either rip them or set them on fire within the first week of having them. So I'm trying really, really hard to be good. Yes, set them on, liar, liar, pants on fire. I am trying so hard. All right.
This forge is so nice and hot. I love it. It's really warm. Having a little bit of trouble right now because my tongs are starting to get in the way because we haven't grown quite enough. So when I put my, when I go on this face, then my tongs are kind of raising it up. So I kind of gotta be a little bit careful. So we're getting a nice isolated section right here, and this is, tapering back really, really nicely. I'm really happy with that. So the goal right now is once we've got this nice handle drawn out to a reasonable length, we're going to take it over to our vise, and we are going to twist this handle, and that is the goal.
Get yourself some leather work pants. Problem solved. Exactly. Normally I wear, my leather apron, and so then my pants are pretty well protected. But it's really difficult to wear the apron over top of my jacket here. So I tend to wear just the jacket because this guy is, it's relatively fire retardant. So it functions pretty well in that manner. But like I said, it's really hard to wear the apron with the coat on. So maybe I'll take the coat off. It's starting to get pretty warm in here. I think that I can manage it. There we go. That should be much, much better, and it will protect my pants better. All right. One of these days, I really want to get a really good apron. This is kind of just like a regular welding apron that you can get at Harbor Freight. I would love to get a custom-made workman's leather apron, but it's one of those things where I got to get the money for it. So I will save my pennies and see where we are at some point in the future. Alrighty. Moving my shop all over the place. Custom aprons are awesome, but they are so expensive, man. There used to be, I'm in a Facebook group called Blacksmith for Beginners Tailgate Sale. And there used to be a lady on there that would make custom aprons for people. And they were I think she only charged about $150, $200 depending on what customizations you got. And that was actually incredibly reasonable for a custom-made leather apron. But I just didn't have the funds back then because You know, if I had $150, it would have gone into, you know, consumables or steel. So yeah, I gotta save my pennies. You know, in almost every jeans store, you can get leather jeans. I suppose you can get leather jeans. However, I kind of feel like those are more like biker jeans. They're like all treated and stuff. I would be absolutely terrified that the treatment on the leather jeans would, like, you know, melt or whatever. $200 is a bargain. They are easily tripled. And I know I really wish I'd have been able to take advantage of the sweet discount, because I mean, $150, $200, so cheap for those. So cheap for those. Oh, they are not treated. Huh. I don't know. I've never, maybe, I don't think I've ever been to a jeans store that was, that sold leather or untreated leather pants. Maybe I will look that up on online. We'll see what I can come up with. That would be interesting. Sew them yourself. What's one more expensive hobby after all, right? Hobbies are so expensive. This one particularly, like, you can get by really, really cheap. I think I spent $150 to get into this hobby, but the amount of money that I have spent since I started this hobby, you know, is astronomical. And I mean, like I said, I was doing commission work very frequently before I got sick, but I did not make nearly as much as I put into this hobby. So, and nowadays it's kind of a, you know, a suck, a money sink a little bit. I figure, you know, maybe someday when we grow big enough, we'll be able to support ourselves. But, you know, hobbies can be a money sink. However, I still think it's so worth it. I don't mind sinking money into the hobbies. Become a leather worker so you can become a blacksmith. Yes, yes, that's so very true. You have like 16 different hobbies in order to you know, support one hobby. Good investment. I mean, it is, you know. It's one of those things that you want to make
armor, and you end up being a blacksmith, a leather worker, and a tailor all at the same time, just because you want to start making armor. You know? All expensive hobbies in their own right.
Find a friend who is a leather worker and in need of some metal tools to trade. Yes, that would be amazing. If I could just do a trade, it would be so much easier. So yeah, I know a bunch of woodworkers, but I don't know any leather workers. Maybe I can connect with somebody through the community here, or maybe I can find somebody on Facebook. It would be so much fun. I would love to, you know, get to know a lot of different craftsmen, do collabs and whatnot. What is happening there? My laptop is being weird. going on? My laptop has been weird all day. Okay, I see what that was. For whatever reason, Corel Draw has given me some kind of weird notification in the corner of my screen, and it was covering all of your comments, so I apologize if I missed any of them. We've killed it, and so I think we're pretty good to go. That's another hobby that I try to have. I've tried to learn to, you know, edit photos and draw or digital drawings. I've tried to do that a little bit. You can kind of see some of the results of my digital drawings in the emotes that I've made for our channel. So a couple of those I kind of sort of a little bit drew, but those were like with mice. I drew the flames and stuff with mice. I do have a tablet for my laptop or for my computer so that I can actually draw like using a pen. But it's kind of buried in, you know, a bunch of just junk. So I got to kind of dig it out. All right. Whoa. One of these days, I'm going to find someplace else to put this. I have a car jack behind my chair. One of these days, I'm going to find a place to put that so that it is not in my way. Okay. How are we doing on ads? We've got plenty of time. Almost
3 minutes.
All right. Thank you for the raid. I'm gonna shout you out, so that way you don't have to shout yourself out, since you know you are my mod, and I want to make sure that you get shout out, but you don't have to do it yourself. All right. Ping is an amazing streamer. He streams from his backyard. It is so soothing. He has this like soothing jazz music, and it's like pictures of it's a video of his backyard. He's got bird feeders set up with like squirrels come and birds come, and it is so soothing. I love having Ping stream on my second monitor while I am editing my videos. It's so soothing. It makes it so much easier to do. So yes, take a look at Ping's stream. Welcome in, Raiders. Bottle of Zen, thank you so much for the follow. I very much appreciate that. And it says that my ad is starting soon, but it doesn't say that it has started. So I am going to refresh my clips on my cameras, and then we're gonna keep on keeping on. We're not gonna do a heat though. Not until the ads are done. Alrighty. Gotta make sure that everybody gets to see all of the lovely anvil work. That's what people come here to see, is me working on the anvil. All right, all right. Let's see, what time is it? We have been streaming for about an hour and a half, which means that it's gotta be like closing in on 3:30 my time, 3:30. Because I am in Central Standard US time. All right. We've got plenty of heat for our next hammer, or like our next course of hammering, but we've got about 30 seconds of ads left, so I'm gonna make sure that we wait that out. So we should be relatively ready to go. Okay. Is all my things happening? Yes, it is. Oh, okay. So what's the heating difference between the stainless steel and the normal steel? Your clock runs slow and I can prove it using physics and philosophy. I mean, maybe. It's just a cell phone, you know, clock or whatever. Waving from Europe. Well, thank you. Welcome in. As far as, so Ping asked, what's the heating difference between stainless steel and my normal steel? And honestly, I'm not really seeing much of a difference. The material that I used, the last time I used stainless steel was probably not the same alloy of what I currently have and I'm currently using. I do know that it was a lot more, it was a lot harder to retain heat in the stainless sheet. I kind of had to, I was using a coal forge too, so it's a little bit different. I kind of had to wait for the stainless steel to get like a nice cherry red, and then I took it over to the anvil and I was able to work it from there. Right now, I'm kind of waiting until I get the nice glowing yellow that I normally look for with my mild steel. So, I mean, there is a chance that that I might be burning off some of the alloyed metals, because I know that if you overheat a high carbon steel, you can kind of burn that carbon right out of the steel. And I'm trying not to do that, but it doesn't seem to be affecting it too badly. I think it's working relatively well. It is taking a tiny bit longer to heat up, and it is a little bit, it is starting to cool a little bit earlier than my mild steel. So, I mean, it is treating, it is working a little bit less than, you know, the mild steel, but it's not enough to really affect my, you know, work time that much. I am in heaven, the country that gave us all fries and has the best beers, the best chocolate, the best waffles, and the best sprouts in the world. Huh. So what country is that? I mean, it's definitely not the US right now, but we won't go into that. I promised I wouldn't go into politics. Belgium. Belgium sounds... Belgium actually sounds like a pretty amazing country. Like, from everything that I've read and heard about it. Yeah. Like, Belgium and Denmark and, you know, some of the countries in that area, like Finland and stuff. I mean, the politics there, it seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. All right.
All right, so we are going to continue. Spreading out this material. That looks like, because of the way I hammer, it's actually starting to spread a little bit faster on the one side. So if I hold it, theoretically I should be able to fix it. Alright, and we're pretty good on that. So I've got a nice fan going. So we've got lots and lots of meat that we're going to be able to draw this out. But first, for our next heat, I want to pinch this in a lot further because for a spoon, let me grab our spoon. So we've got that nice point at the tip of the spoon, and right now our broadest section is on the tip. So I want to make sure that for our next heat, we kind of bring that in so that we've got that nice tip, the skinny tip for that bowl.
All right. Clanging. Yes, clanging, clanging. Gotta get that hammer on. Alrighty. So I am pretty happy with the amount of work that we've been getting with this stainless steel. So far, it's looking like we're definitely going to be able to do the stainless steel. We have about 45 minutes left in the stream for the amount of time that we normally stream for, because we usually stream for about 2 hours or 2.5 hours. So we'll see where we're at. It's looking like we should be able to do to complete the project, and that was our goal. So we'll see. I'm going to try really hard to do that stainless steel, because I think it will look a lot better as a set, and it will function better because it'll be a little bit more food safe. You won't have to worry about rust on our silverware project. All right. Okay. We are good to go. But yeah, now that we're getting a lot of, we're starting to thin out that material, it's starting to heat up a lot faster than it was previously when it was just a block of steel. So I'm pretty happy with that. We're going to be able to get a lot of movement.
Did I just drop my hammer? I did just drop my hammer. Ugh.
problem being it heats faster, but it will cool faster as well, being thinner. Yes, 100%. It will definitely get a lot, or it'll cool a lot faster because it is thinner. But it will, you know, so what happens is we end up starting to take a lot less time between heats. The heats themselves are not very long, but we are able to continue working a lot faster. And yeah, so overall, it gets to this point where we're doing a lot more work a lot quicker, I think. It gets a little bit harder if you're doing 2 pieces at once, though. My water's starting to taste a little bit rusty. So I left water in the bottom of my water, or like in the bottom of my water bottle, and it's a metal water bottle, and it looked like there was a little bit of rust in the bottom, and so I cleaned that out. And for whatever reason, I can still kind of taste it a little bit. But yeah. Maybe I might need a different water bottle, maybe? Oh no, yeah. I mean, I definitely cleaned it out. I know I cleaned it out because I looked at it, you know, I made sure that there was no rust in there. When I refilled it, it's just, I don't know why it tasted like that. It's weird. Maybe you aren't getting enough rest in your diet. Right? I don't get enough rust just being out here in my diet, you know? So, on that note, I mean, when you know how when you go to the airport and you have to go through like the metal detectors and the security, I've gotten to this point that I cannot go through without tripping the metal detectors because I have like little bits of metal inside my skin from like different times where I've like poked myself or like burned myself. And there's just like itty bitty bits of like metal like under my skin in certain places. And it makes going through the metal detector a little bit difficult. I understand that. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's kind of like that too when you're a goldsmith. It gets really, really bad. So as you're, like, when you are a jeweler or a goldsmith, you start like filing and like sanding on the gold, and like it gets all up in the floor and in the carpet and stuff. And so there are like actual carpet brokers for jewelers that will buy the carpet after you're done using it when it's like too treaded on or whatever, and they burn the carpet so that they can collect all of the gold dust that accumulates inside of the carpet. And there's like people that will do that with like clothes too, in certain areas, and it's rather interesting. So I mean, that does happen with steel as well, but it's a lot less lucrative to get tiny bits of steel than it is to get gold and silver. So I have some shrapnel in my body. Yeah, and I mean, I do too. There was like one time I was welding and I got a little bit of welding wire in my leg and it kind of burned through, and it's all nice and healed up, and you know, I took care of it really, really well, and I got it taken care of, you know, but there's still like a tiny little flecks in there of the little bit of metal that's still in there. And it like, so I end up getting like pat downs a lot. And then like my pockets too, because like I don't have special clothes to come out here, so like there's always like little shavings of metal in my pockets.
the width where we want it to be, and not in random little sections. Oh, come on. Having to fight my tongs again. Always have to fight those tongs.
So yeah, I don't know. I didn't really want to talk to my mentor about, you know, what he wanted to do with his remains. But I mean, I totally understand it. If you have been a goldsmith for like 40, 50 years, I mean, I can't imagine how much gold is just like, you know, in your pores and stuff. So. Alrighty. Starting to run low on water. And it still tastes very metallic. But that's all right. I am out of water now, so. But yeah, I am really, really happy with the amount of effort or like work that we have been able to get done with this stainless steel. I'm really looking forward to what this piece looks like after it's cold. So once we're finished forging for the day, I'll put it on the anvil, let it cool down, and we'll see like what it looks like, see what kind of scale develops, and like if if I have burned out some of the alloy, I want to make sure that it's still going to retain its stainless steel luster, and that we're going to get really nice results. So that is also a deciding factor for whether we are going to use stainless steel or mild steel for our next project. All right.
And we are starting to run a little bit low on time, so I'm going to try my best to get everything done. All right.
Not wear ourselves out as we're doing this. All right, so this guy is a cross-peen hammer. It is a 3-pound hammer. It is called a cross-peen hammer because of the cross face on the back end of it. So the material, as it moves, it will actually move up and down, or I guess parallel to the handle of this hammer, and it will move more that direction and less up and down or perpendicular from the handle. So we're going to get a lot of that horizontal movement like we want and less of the vertical movement. And we'll be able to use the normal regular flat face to make sure that we like flatten out the ridges that we create and make sure that we maintain that, you know, curvature at the point. So once we get that bowl nice and flat and blocked in the way we want it, instead of doing or like actually dipping that bowl in, what we're going to do is we're going to take it to at that point we're going to take it to the vise and we're going to get those twists in, because it's going to be a lot easier to hold the material with when the bowl is still flat than when it is divoted in. When it's bowled out, it's going to, or like the vise will flatten it out, and we don't want that to happen. So we want to keep it a little bit on the thick side, and we want to make sure that we get those twists in there for that handle. Alrighty. Tendency to just like move at it and just like bowl my way head first in, and I really need to remember that I need to like pay attention to what I'm doing and what I want to happen with the material and not just plow through. Looks tricky, spreading the metal. Yeah, it is a little bit tricky to spread the metal, but not as tricky as you would imagine. I have a lot of, so like I said, this hammer is a 3-pound hammer. The one that we have been using previously, it's a 2-pound hammer, right? So I'm really used to the 2-pound hammer, but the extra weight on this 3-pound hammer is kind of throwing off my, my muscle memory just a little bit. So as I continue to use this hammer, I'll get used to it again, and I will have I will be able to maintain a much more precise hammering pattern. Wasn't it measure once cut 555 times? I mean, maybe. So, Madam Mew, thank you so much for your follow. I see that you followed me a minute ago. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We are still a relatively small community, but we are rapidly growing, and I'm really excited about it. You guys are an amazing community, and I love talking to you. I love teaching you. I love all of your questions, answering things, and, everything. All right. Like I said, as we get thinner, we're going to continue working so much faster. Yeah. I mean, I measured once, cut it, and it was not right, so I cut it again for 50 times, and it was still too short, right? Yeah. That's kind of why I hate wood. You can't make the wood grow but I can make the metal grow. You know, if I taper it longer, I can totally do that. You can't do that with wood.
I respect so many of the carpenters that I see. Oh God, I could not do that. I'm so bad at it. Okay, center. Hammer in the center, Ray. All right. We're really starting to get that nice thickness going. I'm really happy with that. Look at that. Now we're gonna turn it over. Start making sure that we get an even amount of pressure on both tabs. Very careful. Okay, and as you can see, we're getting really nice and thin. We've kind of got a little bit of a bowl happening in there because we've really been heavily hammering in the center. So I need to kind of continue that bowl on this side. And what I want to see is more material, more weight on this side and on this side, and like much thinner in the center, so that we can get that width that we were looking for. But we're starting to get that bowl shape for the spoon. Pretty happy with that. We're getting there. We got a little ways to go though.
Like clay for that reason. Yes, I mean, metal is so much like clay, for me at least. I mean, definitely you have to keep that metal hot, and I would never touch the metal, or like, you know, the tongs, or the, you know, any of the materials that actually do touch that metal, like you would if you were throwing a pot. But metal is very, very malleable, and the closer it is to its melting point, the more malleability it has, and it moves a lot. And it, you know, I love that about metal. You know, when you look at it, you're like, metal is so permanent. I can't believe people actually work with it. And then I just like, it's so easy for me, and I totally, I love it. It's just so counterintuitive, I feel like. I rarely use an anvil as a farmer, but I learned to have a rhythm hitting the piece a few times and then hitting the anvil to use the spring to lift the hammer up and make the movements less tiresome. Yeah, and that is a really good habit to get into. I tend to do that. I tend to hit the anvil a little bit less in my rhythms. Because I actually get quite a bit of bounce out of this anvil through the material when the material is hot, right? When the material starts to cool down, then the material itself starts to bounce up with the hammer, and then I lose a lot of that force. So that's kind of one of the reasons that you want to keep that material really nice and hot, because you actually do get quite a bit of bounce from the anvil when you hammer on it. And if you keep that material really nice and malleable, it'll actually, that spring back will still happen through the material. It's all different from anvil to anvil, I guess. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of different types of anvils out there. And I'm going to continue this conversation once the ad ends, because we're at an ad, and I want to make sure that, you know, you are able to hear me with my explanation. So I'm going to refresh my clips. And then we'll figure out what's going on next. All right. Okay. Gotta make sure that I answer the question, or a direct question, when the ad is not happening. So that way, you know, the person who asked the question doesn't miss the answer. Oh, I know what that is. It's like I keep hearing a weird pinging sound, and it's from my heater. The oil in there is kind of, there's like I don't know, some like dust and stuff, and it's like starting to hop off. I use the anvil in my vise. Yes, a vise has an anvil built in. Okay. Okay, so we're out of the ad, so I'm going to actually answer these questions or end these comments so that everybody can hear them. So the goats farmer said that it's all a difference, anvil to anvil, I guess. Yeah. So there are different types and brands of anvils, and a lot of them have different amounts of spring back. A better, or like a more, like certain brands have much more than others. Like the reason that a Peter Wright anvil is so sought after is because it has a 90% kickback, right? So if you were to bounce a steel ball on the top of a, you know, a brand new Peter Wright anvil, it would go up 90% of that bounce. So you get a lot of that energy back at you when you are using a Peter Wright anvil. Now, if you are using a mouse hole anvil, that's another brand of anvils. Those are made more of like a cast iron, and so you get a lot less bounce back on them. And you mentioned, Farmer, that you, yeah, I assume it will again differ. Didn't your parents teach you not to play with your silverware? Yes, definitely. I assume again it differs from vise to vise. Okay, so I noticed that you did mention that you have an anvil on your vise, right? So most of the anvils that are attached to vices are more of a cast iron than they are a what is it called? I know the name of the steel. What is it called? I'm sorry, I didn't come prepared with all, or you know, with the answer to that particular question in my head. Okay, so in my anvil, it's got a tool steel face, and then it has a, what is this called? Wrought iron, a base, right? So the wrought iron base and the tool steel like tops have a tendency to give you a lot more spring back than a cast iron anvil, right? So the cast iron has a lot less kickback. So you get, you know, if that makes sense. Tool steel, no worries, yeah. Yeah, so it is, the word I just said, which I lost again, wrought iron. Wrought iron is that word. Yeah, so wrought iron has a little bit extra bounce on it. So that's kind of, you know, I tend to not have to worry about hitting the anvil as much as some other blacksmiths do. Now, if I were using a striking team, and then I would definitely be hitting the anvil just to make sure that I get that rhythm in there so that I can keep time for my strikers. And what a striker is like when you don't have a power hammer, you use a strike team. So you've got like at least one other person who has like a sledgehammer, and you like use that extra, you know, oomph. And you've got your strike team director, and they have a smaller hammer, and they're kind of like, they'll hit where they want the striker to hit, and they keep the rhythm so that you can get that even amount of pressure going. Wrought. Yep, wrought iron. Okay. We're gonna keep
going on the bowl here real fast, and then I will respond to the comment that just came in. Oh, come on, don't make me fight. Don't make me fight you. Ouch. Once upon a time, I had a tighter pair of tongs.
Wow, I have a lot of comments to catch up on, it looks like. Let's see if I can catch up on them. The anvil faces on the vise is okay for banging rivets in a sickle bar. It is. I am a farmer. I use what I can. I'm not a blacksmith. I can do stuff like riveting and such. I wouldn't want to shape tools on it. Mahalo, are you a farmer as well? Yeah. So the anvil on the face of a, of a vise, or like on the side of a vise, it's adequate for a lot of different jobs. And I mean, I'm not gonna recommend that like a hobbyist or somebody who like barely needs an anvil at all go out and buy an actual anvil. You could actually get by even as a blacksmith with like just a small section of steel. One of the pieces that I had for a really long time is this guy right here. And this is just like, it's an old bearing, right? It used to be, I don't even remember what maybe it's a railroad bearing. This particular one has actually been cut in half. So it used to have another section on this other side. But this is an absolutely amazing piece of steel for an anvil. It is a tool steel, but it doesn't really have to be a tool steel for you to use it. But yeah, for a while, this is all I had. And, this is what I used. I got this for free from a friend. So he worked in a rail yard. He fixes train, like cars. So these were laying all over the place. He asked his boss if he could have them, and he had them, or like he gave them to him. I have a vise on my tractor. I can hammer in rivets and such in the field, and I have a gas torch with me. Whoa, that's nifty. Yeah, I mean, the gas torch is amazing if you don't have a forge. Especially if you're trying to get, even if you do have a forge, if you're trying to get rivets, that's really all you need is that torch, because you're trying to get a really isolated section of heat, and it works beautifully for that. There's a lot of really nice anvils slowly turning to rust and decay in barns where I live. There are real opportunities out there. Yes, there definitely are. I mean, and like, I know in the United States, like, people will go around and find anvils and like blacksmithing equipment in barns, and they'll clean them up just a little bit, just enough that they can take a picture and it doesn't look like garbage. And they'll sell them for like a lot of money, like $5, $7 a pound for some of these things. And people will buy them. So, I mean, if ever you get the opportunity to like get some of that stuff for dirt cheap, you can totally flip it for a pretty decent amount. Normally, I tend to go for about $2 a pound when I'm looking to buy. But I don't know that, like, the last time I bought an anvil was like 15 years ago. So, I mean, the price has gone up a lot since then. So, it's kind of like what is the market like in your area? And I mean, there's plenty of places, that you can look. A lot of pieces of railroad turned into little anvils too. Yeah. I mean, I have pieces of railroad track too. You just got to be really careful where you're sourcing those. You can't just take one from the side of a railroad track and like take it home, because that's actually technically stealing from the rail company. You have to make sure that that piece of railroad track is free and clear, and you bought it directly from the railroad company, or it has some kind of pedigree on it, because you can get in real big trouble, especially in the US, for taking pieces of railroad track without permission. Yeah, $5 to $6 a pound sounds about right at the antique shops and stuff like that. It's wild. Yeah, I mean, it's totally wild. It's obnoxious because, like, when I first started blacksmithing, nobody, like, did any blacksmithing. It was just kind of like a couple bladesmiths here and there. And then Discovery did Forged in Fire, and then suddenly everything shot sky high. So I was lucky enough to be able to get a lot of my stuff for really cheap. Sounds interesting. Welcome in, Ringbolt. Welcome in. But yeah, I mean, you can still find some relatively cheap equipment, but you got to be really careful because a lot of people gouge out there. Follower goal met. I have 100 followers. Well, thank you so much for following. Ringbolt, thank you for following. Excellent. I'm so excited. I've been selling them for about 20 years. The pandemic really made everything expensive too. Everyone got new hobbies. I've been talking to people who fix railroads, been offered a whole railroad rail. But I had to say no. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's hard to transport an entire railroad rail, you know what I mean? It's like fine if you get one and then you send it immediately to a machinist and have them cut it up. Then you can sell like individual little pieces, but it's hard when you're trying to do an entire rail.
It's big and heavy and I can transport it. Oh, that's an awesome offer, but hard to actually do, right? Yes, it is so hard to move that stuff around. Alright, so I'm gonna go and start moving this a little bit further here. We're getting a lot of width in. Alright, so we've got a decent thinness and I'm really liking it. I think my next goal right now is actually going to be to twist the back end. So I think I've got plenty of material for a bowl. I do really want to stretch a little bit. I want to keep a little bit of this width that I've got here. I'm pretty happy with because I want to make sure that when that bowl goes in there, it doesn't get too thin. So I'm really happy with that. We've got a nice spoon shape going. So I'm going to take it to the vise and twist up this handle. So I think actually what I'm going to do is flip it around.
It helps when you actually pick the right camera. Someday when lightsabers are cheap, they'll be easier to piece out. But I just didn't want to deal with it. Yeah, I mean, I totally understand. Like, if someone tried to give me an entire, like, rail section, I would not be able to transport it. I would have to either have it shipped to a machinist to cut up, or I would not be able to take that deal because it's just, it's so overwhelming. Even if you had the ability to transport it, it's like, what would you do with it? I mean, you know, it's like, where would you store it? You know, it's just so big. Transporting is not the problem, but yeah, of course. Yeah, it's like storing it. I mean, like when I buy material for our, you know, for blacksmithing, I go to the steel supply and I buy steel in 20-foot sections, right? But I have issues transporting 20-foot sections. So they have a service that they'll cut that for me. And they'll cut it in half for me. So then I'm able to transport 10-foot sections. But even if I had like a trailer so that I could transport a 20-foot section would not fit in my shop. It's just too big. It's hard to deal with 10-foot sections of steel. And I mean, you know, that's like nothing compared to like an entire track of rail. Storing is not a problem. I have a few farmyards. I like how long it or is one of the railroad tracks. Yeah. I would be interested. Oh, I have the inspector sticker from my pants. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so how long is the railroad track? It's amazing thinking about how much railroad got laid down without construction equipment or power tools. Get it cut into 4 or 5 foot sections then. Yeah. Oh, the reason I don't have the reason that I don't have my steel cut into 5 foot sections is because I like to have my material as long as possible, so that way I can make sure that I don't end up with like scrap ends for my projects, right? So I will actually, you know, when I go to the steel supply, I usually have projects in mind and I have dimensions. So sometimes when they are like, instead of having them cut it directly in half, I'll have it cut so that I won't have like scrap ends, if that makes sense. I like to keep as long sections as possible so that I can decide how long things are. Could rent a gas-powered chop saw. I believe it was 17.5 meters. Might have been 12.5. Man, that's really long. So I have what is that called? It's a belt saw. So not a circular saw, not a chop saw. I don't even remember what it is. But it's got a saw blade that's in a belt. And that's how I tend to cut really, really thick stuff, because if you use a chop saw, it's going, or like with something thick like that, it's going to eat away at that the disc for the saw blade disc so quick. A bandsaw, yeah, that's it. It's a bandsaw. Yeah, it's like 40 feet in the U.S. There's something like 40 pounds a foot. Yes, exactly. I know what you mean, like a bandsaw, but for metal. Yes, and I mean, that's what they are. It is a metal bandsaw. I have a handheld one. It's a Milwaukee brand, back before Milwaukee became a junky brand. It's like a plug-in one, so it doesn't have the battery pack or anything like that. That thing is beautiful. That's how I cut all of my really, really thick pieces of steel. Thing is, I would not know how to handle it. The cold chop saws are not that bad. Yeah, I mean, chop saws aren't that bad. I have one over there. It's how I, you know, cut all my stuff. Okay. So we have our vices ready to take the steel. Let's see what we can do. You know what I didn't do? I didn't actually get my bending bars ready. I am a smart person. All right, so I'm gonna show you kind of what I'm looking at doing, and then I'm probably not gonna get to do much of it because, like I said, I don't have them ready. So the next heat will have them ready. So I usually use crescent wrenches, and we will kind of because I'm lazy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start twisting. Where are my bending bars? I can't even find them. All right, so that should work on that side. This guy should work on this side, and we're gonna use these to kind of twist it around and put twists in there. So that's going to be the next heat because I was not ready. One of these days I will remember that I need to be ready for things like that. But some days, you know, I'm still really rusty. I won't lie, I'm still really rusty. All right, so I need to close that in just a hair. There we go. That should be good to go. There we go. When and where did you see them last? Huh. Oh, yeah, my bending bars. Where did I see them last? I don't remember. Honestly, okay, so I have been, like, returning to the shop after a 5-year break. So I haven't been out, or like, I've started coming back out here in, like, November, but prior to that, it had been about 5 years since I had been out here. I did spend a couple days like cleaning it out and making sure that all my tools were, you know, in working order and stuff. And there are still a few that I have to like actually repair, like my the bottle jack for my my shop press is not functioning currently. But yeah, so it's kind of, I think it's buried somewhere. I'll find it eventually. It might actually be in here. Is it in here? Bending bars. Where you be? I don't know. I will find it eventually. Crescent wrenches will work for the moment. You should make new bending bars if you do not have them. I should make new bending bars. I probably will. All right, so yeah, we're going to try this again in just a few. All right, we should be good. We're gonna try this again. What do you guys think? Okay, so this guy is spinning them, bending it. We're getting a twist there, but we're not getting a good twist. Maybe. I want to go this way. So I'm starting that twist, but it's not working quite as well as I want it to because I need those bending bars. I'm also, this is the first time I've done a twist in the shop since I've come back. So you know, I'm really rusty at this. So I'm going to apologize. Is the gas sputtering? It's been 2.5 hours, yeah. Sorry, I'm watching you and a guy doing stock removal at the same time and thinking hard about going to sleep. Yeah, if you're tired, you should definitely go to sleep. Sleep is good. The gas is not sputtering, and the reason the gas is not sputtering is because I spent the first hour on the old tank from last week, and because I didn't stream on Friday, there was plenty of gas left in it. It did actually end up freezing up at about an hour, so I put a brand spanking new tank on, so we've got a little bit of extra time going. So I think we can go a little bit longer. What silverware piece are you working on now? You need to milk in 4 hours. That's not a lot of time. That's not a lot of time to sleep. Yes, this was just a test run, so I will probably end here shortly. I will probably try one more time to do like a twist after the break, and from there I'll probably start a fresh piece on Wednesday, and we'll do a spoon. You rarely sleep. Well, sleep is very, important. You need to make sure that you're sleeping. But yeah, I will make sure that I have a set of bending bars that will function for a twist. Because I am starting to get a little bit tired. So yeah, I think I'm going to try a couple more twists and then we'll probably raid off. Thank you all for joining me though. If you have any ideas for who to raid off to, let me know. Night terrors does not work for me. Ooh, that's not good. Night terrors are no fun. I am not sure. Yeah. Jocelyn? Or Johnson. Is Johnson streaming? If Johnson is streaming, we'll totally raid off to him. I really enjoy watching Johnson stream. So yeah, if he is still streaming, in a few, we'll definitely raid Johnson. He is. Awesome. Good stream. Thank you all for joining me. The ad is starting soon. Do you guys want to raid now so you don't have to watch the raid, or do you want to see like another twist before we go after the ad? He is a great stock remover. So yeah, I mean, I can just raid you off to Johnson now. That way you guys don't have to watch the ad. Sound good? Because my stupid ad is starting soon. Oh, now it's in progress. Well, now that it's in progress, I will... Up to you. Okay. I think I'm gonna raid you guys off. Cause I don't, yeah. I'm really sorry guys about the ad. There we go. Thank you all for joining me. Have a great day and have fun with Johnson. Maybe if I can start the raid, that would be beautiful. There we go. Thank you so much for joining me. I am already raiding Johnson. Awesome. Stop stream.